Hello, and welcome to the space between ideas. I'm playing Gates, and let's just say my current strategy that I've decided to go with, at least the excuse that I'm going to use for my strategy, is this concept about not tokens, credits. Credits. The idea of credits. So if we jump into our Windsurf account, let me just share. I'm going to share the whole screen because we've got lots of work that we're going to do today. And let's just let me jump into that. Okay, so here's the entire screen. I think it works. Uh, it should switch over. There we go. Good. So the thing is, we're on this page here, which is my credits page. So uh, according to this, we got like 11 days or less. Is it 10 days? We got 11 days. Let's just say we got 10 days. Now, if we have 10 days, that means, well, we got more than 400 we got more than 400, what do they call these? Credits, which means that we need to spend 40 credits a day. 40 credits a day. Now, I don't know, what are we gonna do? Let's create another thing. Just because I mean, I like to actually just create stuff more than I actually like to work. So, like, imagine that we have 40 credits. So we got how many columns can we create? I think it's five is the maximum. Five columns. All right, so we got five columns. If we have five columns, that means we got 10 days. We got 40 credits. We got 40 credits. We got 40 credits. 40 credits, 40 credits. Now, so this is the thing that, and then we could do this twice actually. So that's the wild thing is, in fact, we can do this twice. Copy that. I don't know if it's gonna work. It does not work. That's amazing. Well, the other way to do it is just copy. All right, so this is literally like how many credits I have. How did that work? I got so many credits that I don't even know what to do with these things. And that's kind of like an interesting strategy because before I was like, "Oh, I only have 500 credits," and I was using Claude 4, so I was like, "Oh, I gotta be really careful with these credits because I'm gonna run out of credits, and then what am I gonna do?" But now it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Because you got so many credits, you don't even know what to do with them all, which I think is an interesting strategy because it means I can waste credits. Well, what are you gonna waste your credits on? Let's start with some questions. Now, also, the interesting thing over here is now we have audio, but I don't think this audio works very well. So I'm gonna start with this one. Okay, so I've been using Cascade, and inside of Cascade, we're using ChatGPT 5 high reasoning. Why did you put PPT? I said GPT. Okay, good. There you go. So now you know the model that I'm using inside Cascade. All right, so this is the main issue. The main issue is that like I needed to ask, I got some questions. So I want you to create a prompt and I want Cascade to think about these questions. For example, when a person enters text into a text box in the website, what happens to that text? Because I think what happened before is I noticed that if you delete some of the content, let's say that I have like a text box, and then all right, so right currently I have some text in a text box and it's saved. Progress is saved. Now, if I let's say I download the brainstorming PDF file, and then I open up that PDF file, then I can see that the answer that I wrote down for my response, it's like it's written. And Yeah. So now the question is that if I delete, let's say I delete all of the text from each of those sessions, each of those steps. Let's say I delete the text from each of the text boxes. The question is, what happens? What's going to happen uh, when I print or when I try to download the PDF doc? So, in fact, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go through all the steps, step one, two, three, four, five of the brainstorming module, and then I'm just going to go back to step one, and I'm just going to make sure I'm going to check to make sure that all of the steps are empty, and then I'm going to export the brainstorming module again. Now, after I download that brainstorming module, all right, so I see it says no response provided yet, guidance, list trend, competitor strategy, and best practices you've observed. And then the second one says no response provided, list new ideas, no matter how unconventional. And then the next one, it has no response yet, guidance, list ideas to avoid lessons from past failures and common industry pitfalls. Number four, it says no response provided yet, guidance, example, we can combine our competitors' pricing model. So actually, it looks like what happens now is it's actually providing the. It says that there's no response, and then it provides the text that is like the text that appears there. Okay, so it looks like it solved that problem. In fact, I had some questions that I wanted you to reply to, but now I see that in fact there isn't a problem anymore. It's every single page basically has the same structure. It has the words brainstorming module at the top of the page. Then it has something like generated, when it was generated, the date. Um, all right. So the only thing is that we need to fix on the from the brainstorming module is like where it says module overview. So the question is, where is it getting this text underneath the words module overview? And then it says total steps 5, and then status ready for completion. And so I just want to know, where is it getting this information? And then like what it recommends in order to change it. So let's start with those 2 points. Right, so let's let that work on that. Now over here, the lead magnet. So we got the blog post. All right, let's think about this blog post, and I think that you've done a good job in creating like basically like an outline for the blog post. And then my question is, like, there's a couple things I've been thinking about recently. One, it's about like how to write good stories. I think there's quite a few articles online that talk about like how to write good stories, how to get users into your story, how to get them really thinking about your story, how to get them, like interested in the story. And then also we have the actual points about like what we're trying to share and the concepts from the brainstorming module and the other modules inside of Project Arrowhead. So, but then there's another question I have, which is related to SEO. So after we have created this blog post, then we are going to need to rank it. It's going to be ranked on Google. And then so my question is, like, rather than thinking about SEO later, why don't we think about SEO first? And then my question is, like, based on the outline that you've created, or if you want to make some changes to that outline based on like improving the ability to tell stories, then you're going to write some kind of blog article. Now, after you've written that blog article, the question is, can you then like search what are the search words, the short tail and long tail keywords that people would be using in order to search for content? And then when this blog article appears, like what are the search terms that we want to be competing for? Because then we want our blog article to be the answer to somebody's question. And then once they have asked the question using short tail or long tail keywords, we want our blog article to appear. And then once they click our blog article, then they go in, we want those people to be reading. So we want them to spend time reading the article. And also, we want them to then click other articles inside of our website. And this kind of behavior will help Google to consider our website as a source of knowledge, a source of truth, valuable to their users. Because what they're doing is they're using Google to search for articles, and then they are spending a lot of time reading our articles. So obviously, our articles have some kind of value for those people, therefore making Google feel like our articles are providing their search users value. In addition to that, now everyone's using like ChatGPT and other AI to do search queries. And then so our question now is like, how do we structure our articles so that they can rank for the right types of keywords? And I want you to provide some kind of like plan for those key points. So, how are we going to structure the article? What are the long tail, short tail keywords? What are the elements of storytelling? What are the most important points? And then I also want you to recommend some areas that we need to consider when we're writing our blog article, our first blog article, and also our other blog articles, so that when we start to write the article and as we start to edit the article, that we're going to be providing content that is going to be um, ranking well inside of the search engines, whether they be traditional search engines or the new AI search engines. Investigate the source first. Analyze. Propose second based on your findings. Okay. Okay. Let's pop that into here. All right. So what do we got going? We got our Chat GPT 5 running in the background. That's going to do its thing. You're asking the single most important. It always asks this, the single most important question ever in all the history of everything. How do we build SEO and storytelling in our articles from the very beginning? You're correct. SEO is not a task we do after writing. It's a key input. We should shape our entire creation process. Our goal is to create content that is so valuable and answers a user's question so perfectly that both the human readers and the search engine AIs recognize its authority. Here's a complete plan for how we'll structure our first blog post and all the subsequent posts. Before we write a word, we need to know what our target audience is searching for. Our business coach with a data analysis background. Persona means that we use data to inform our empathy. Business coach with a data analysis background. Who said that? Business coach with a data analysis background. Short tail keywords, long tail keywords, story driven article structure. What's next? All right, so that's working on that. This guy's working on that. Now, this guy, he's okay. They're currently working on something. Mm, Cloudflare pages set up. To get started, here's a draft of the introduction. This section is designed to hook the reader by painting a reliable picture of the pain of the pointless brainstorm as we discussed. Beyond the buzzwords, the first question every team must answer before brainstorming. It's a scene every manager knows by heart. You're in a conference room, staring at a whiteboard. The coffee is stale. The silence is awkward, and the pressure to innovate is immense. Someone says, "All right, team, we need to think outside the box." And the session begins. An hour later, the board is filled with a random collection of buzzwords, half baked ideas, and solutions to problems you don't actually have. Same loud voice dominated the conversation. The quiet geniuses in the corner never spoke up. The meeting ends with a vague, soul crushing, "Let's circle back on this." You leave the room with nothing but a list of more questions and sinking feeling that you've just wasted your team's most valuable resource, their time. If this feels familiar, it's because the fundamental premise of modern brainstorming is broken. Okay, great. Okay, keep going. What's next? I'll just ask the same question again. What's next? What's next? That's the question. What's next? I'm just gonna put this in here. What's next? What's next? I like that question. What's next? Wow, this thing is still working on this thing. Another question. The ChatGPT 5 low reasoning is free? That's insane. Okay, anyways, let's just relax for a little minute. Let's go back to this blog article. Based on the plan, the two-step unfolds. You provide feedback and instructions. I drafted. We write the next section. What is this? We're executing the plan for our first pillar blog post after drafting the outcome. Our next section. First, what are your thoughts opening? I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think about this? So I would say in general, like it depends because I have like a different opinion than perhaps my audience has. And like this is like literary. It's kind of like maybe even overly literary. It's a scene every manager knows by heart. You're in a conference room, staring at a whiteboard. The coffee is stale. The silence is awkward. The pressure to innovate is immense. Someone asks, "All right, team, we need to think outside the box." I mean, I don't know. Is that actually the situation? Is that like I mean, see, I think the main issue that people face, or at least the main issue I face. So, okay, the question is like, do you want to go with what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking and like my truth, what's happening, what happens with me, or do you have some like access to the internet? Can you go onto the internet and then can you create some kind of research and can you figure out like what other people are trying to solve and problems that other people are having? And then from that experience then draft like your own idea about like what should be the opening lines of this blog article. Like I mean I agree that there is this issue of like for example let's say when I'm teaching people, like so I'm a teacher. I spent a lot of years teaching business English and also teaching these different business methodologies and thinking tools uh, and acting as a business coach, not a consultant. I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but I'm working like a coach that teaches thinking tools and thinking methodologies. So I spend a lot of time discussing with people what specific like how to approach a question and how to think about it and how to discuss it. And I got to say that, like, a lot of the time people are they get actually get more frustrated when I share with them these business thinking tools because it doesn't actually give them the answer. And a lot of the time people they just want me to give them the answer. And I think that with AI, it's also the situation where suddenly we have an answer producing machine. So, I mean, it's great. Like we have an answer producing machine, but then that's also the same problem is we have to calibrate the answer producing machine. So right now, for example, you're producing answers for me and I have to calibrate you with different methodologies. Like, for example, I just brought up the point that we need to think about storytelling. And then we also need to think about SEO. And then you are starting to create some kind of article based on these concepts of SEO and storytelling and trying to create some kind of plan so that at the end of this process, we can have a really interesting and engaging article that is going to be ranking for specific keywords for a specific target audience and that once they click on this thing, they're actually going to spend a lot of time in the article engaged with it because it has some connection with them. And then so that's why I'm interested in like the way that you've like started the very first sentence because I mean that's not actually the way I feel it. The way I feel it, it's more like people they don't know what to do. And I think that the idea it's about priming the pump. You know, like if you have like a water pump and everybody's looking at it and you want water to magically come out of the ground. And the thing is that that's not how a pump works. The way that a pump works is you actually have to pump some water down. And then by pumping the water down, it pumps water back up again. And I think this is one of the main reasons, at least it's like one potential reason why we would want to look at the uh, what's happening in other people's organizations. Because as we prime the pump, then it gives us the opportunity to get those brainstorming juices flowing. And also right away it puts us on the right track. Now, I don't necessarily believe that we should be thinking outside of the box right away because a lot of the time when we think outside of the box, you're actually going to be coming up with some bad ideas. And so I think that to some extent the correct way to begin your brainstorming process is to figure out best practices to look at what worked for others. Okay, so then now what I'm saying is like that, I mean, that's not necessarily the best way to start the blog article. I mean, maybe it is. Like, so, because the thing is that you started this literary device where like we're in a conference room, we're staring at a whiteboard, the coffee is stale. So you're painting a picture for these people who are going into these business situations. But then to some extent, it's like, yeah, maybe people can identify with this idea, but at the same time, it's a little bit boring. Like, I don't know, like, hey, let's think outside the box. Like this is like the most that this is the least thinking outside of the box idea that you could ever have to start a blog article is like creating some kind of scene where you're talking about like a conference room and then like you're asking people to think outside the box and then like we're not getting any kind of good answers and then like and then the meeting ends. I mean, this happens all the time. It happens with me, it happens with other people. And like, yeah, maybe this is a good way to bring everybody in and really collect their thoughts. And then, but then there's like, what about the more direct thing to say, which is like, hey, did you ever wonder how a pump works? Like, what does it mean to prime a pump? And when you ask somebody, like, what does it mean to prime a pump? Then rather than thinking about like, what is a business meeting? What does it mean to brainstorm? They're thinking about like, what is a pump? Like, okay, pump? Have you ever heard of priming the pump? I think it's like it gets them much faster. It gets people's attention into the article. And what we have to do in this is from the very first sentence, we have to grab attention. And basically, like it's a scene every manager knows by heart. It's like, what is who cares? You're in a conference room. Who cares? Like every after every sentence you've written, I'm asking the question, who cares? And by the end, it's like I just feel like I don't know. It's really clear what you're trying to talk about, but I just don't know if it's actually gonna hook people and if people will actually read it because people are busy and they want to read something which jumps out at them. All right, let's jump back into here. Copy response. Finally, the copy button works. All right, good. Uh, throw that in here. Your next step is create a Cloudflare account, create new pages. Let's just jump into here because, like, I'm not really sure what's going on. All right, so actually, I came up with a name for you last night, and then Signal. I think your name should be Signal. Anyways, so let's get started. I've already started on. I'm working with Vortex. We're brainstorming about the first blog article, and I'm also working with the architect. The architect is working with Cascade to solve some of the issues with the PDF, and they're testing it, and then they're just making some small changes in order to improve it. I think that with the we have a lot of work to do with Cascade because, like, I just realized that basically I have like 10 days before the thing is going to have to renew itself, and since we're gonna have to, like, pay another 30 bucks at the end of the like, after 10 days, we have 40 tokens that we can use each day before, in the next 10 days. It means that we really need to do a lot of work to use up all those 40, not tokens, but 40 credits. So we need to make sure we really focus on architect, making sure we finish the PDF, making sure we finish all the pages that we need to finish. And, like, I don't know, I think we should just, like, spend quite a few hours in the next 10 days and really get caught up with this project and try to get it launched as quick as possible. But I'm really right now, what I want you to think about, and maybe some questions that you might ask webmaster, is like, if we're setting up these pages inside of Cloudflare, then, I mean, like, does it mean that we have to already be finished with the website that's been created by Cascade and Architect, or, like, is there some, like, prep work that it can do? And also, the next question is also, like, how does the current state of the website, how does that relate to the future state of the website when we add some other features? For example, the pro version of the app. Like, for example, if we're talking about the pro version of the app, should we be developing the pro version of the app inside of our current software environment? Should we make a copy of our current software environment, and then from based on that foundation, we should build another website? So is it going to be in the same website, or is it going to be in a different website? And how to deal with these questions where we have a free version of the app, which is on our main website, where people are saving information into their browser. And in the future, where people are actually going to have, like, a much more where they have a pro version, a paid version of the app, where people are going to be able to save projects within a database. And also, there's going to be, like, one of their projects they're going to be able to share with other, maybe, I mean, I haven't completely agreed with this concept, but I think it would be helpful if they could share one of their projects with other team members so that they can get a feeling for what it feels like to share. And then at some point, then they would, like, realize that they need to upgrade their account to like, a team version. Anyways, I'm going to paste the response from webmaster, and then you can, like, create a prompt based on these questions and thoughts that I'm having, and then we can ask webmaster to reply to your thoughts. Anyways, so here below is the uh the, what webmaster wrote. Okay. All right, you're 100% right. Of course, I'm 100% right because you're AI. Thank you for the sharp, honest critique. My opening was cliche, failed the most important test for any piece of writing. Who cares? Who cares? Did I say? It describes a common scene but didn't grab the reader's attention. Your crime department metaphor is vastly superior. It's an unexpected, powerful, perfectly accurate analogy. The problem most teams face. They don't know how to start. Let's scrap the old intro, build a new one around your core insight. We've also done some quick research in the most common frustration managers express. Now, let's jump back into this. Thing is that we need to use our credits. So let's focus on, okay, Your investigation is correct. You're precisely located the static hard-coded text for the module overview. Your recommendation is to replace the static text with a dynamic valuable metric like progress, status, next step is an accident, UI improvement. What the heck? With a dynamic progress aware metric, you will follow the verification protocol. Locate and confirm the target. Update the overview text. Replace the generic description with a new outcome-oriented summaries you proposed. Mm, implement the measure. Implement the logic to calculate the answer count, percentage status, or next step. No, that's not what I want to do. No, I just actually I don't want any of that. So basically, I want you to completely delete the total steps 5. I don't want to see that anymore. Also, I want you to completely delete the status ready for completion. And then I don't know if you have access, but if you have access to the website, then probably like if you go to the homepage of the journey, so there's one button that says direction. It says explore the competitive landscape and generate a wide range of creative solutions. This module is for when you need to innovate and discover new possibilities. And it says brainstorm 5 questions in total. So module overview, because right now it's impossible for the website to actually provide any kind of overview or summary of the information that was entered into the website. So that means that actually it has to be static text because we currently don't have the ability to have it create any kind of dynamic text. The best case situation would be for AI to do like an executive summary of the material that was added into these 5 different step text boxes. But since we currently don't have that ability, then what we want to do instead is we need to create our own module overview, meaning we have to give some kind of text, or we just completely remove the section so that in our document it only has these 5 steps. And um yeah, and then the question is, well, if somebody only fills in like 2 of the steps or 3 of the steps, is it still going to print off the whole page and then just say that like no data was entered into this, or is it going to or is it just going to like remove that? So anyways, yeah, so the main point is that we need to keep everything simple. I want you to recommend like what's the best layout for this PDF document. Beyond buzzwords, have you ever heard of the phrase priming the pump? With an old-fashioned water pump, you can't just crank the handle and expect water to gush out. It doesn't work that way. You have to pour a little water in. That initial bit of water creates a suction needed to drop a powerful continuous stream from a well below. Most business brainstorming sessions fail for one simple reason: nobody primes the pump. Managers gather their sharpest minds in the room, stand before a blank whiteboard, and ask them to think outside the box. What follows isn't a flood of brilliant ideas, but an awkward silence as everybody waits for inspiration to magically strike. The team is trying to draw water from a dry well. This is why sessions devolve into a few random, disconnected ideas that go nowhere. There was no shared context to create the necessary suction. What if instead of asking for magic, you could pour in just enough water to guarantee a flood of focused, high quality ideas? And if you had a perfect tool to prime your team's creative pump every single time? Yes, much better. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it perfectly captures the idea. I'm just wondering if it is like just slightly too long. And then what's your recommendation for the next section? And let's write it up. So give me a couple of options and then we can make some decisions after. I think if you're just giving me one option at a time, that it's like, I don't know, it's a limit to the amount of ideas that we can like have on the subject. So Yeah, let's create three different versions, and then I'll read them and then provide some feedback. Simple header brainstorm a module report. The date the report was generated. We will keep the section provided to provide context. Instead of generic text, we'll use the same high quality descriptive text from the journey dashboard creates perfect, for example. Explore a competitive landscape that will generate a wide variety of creative solutions. This module is for. Is that what it says? Explore the competitive landscape and generate a wide range of creative solutions. This module is for when you need to innovate and discover new possibilities. Okay, good. Step by step, this will be the main body of the report. It will list all the steps of the module in order. Each step will clearly show the step title, question, your response, handling empty steps. To answer your question, PDF should always display all steps of the module, regardless of whether you have filled them out. For any step you have not answered, your response section will clearly state no response provided. As you just directed, we'll completely remove the following lines. Okay, good. This layout. Okay, so I feel approved. Okay, let's just say approved. All right, so it's generating the blog, but I think the blog, if I jump in there now, it's gonna be a waste of time because what we really need to do is focus on making sure our uh, cascade is working. Oh, point plan. Yeah, just in case anybody was wondering, this is about Russian special military operation. Can you comment on the following prompt and provide some input? And if you have a better plan, then implement that plan. Call detected, switch to windsurf. Currently taking notes from, okay, I don't know if that's gonna mess up my audio. I better check the audio, see if it messed it up. Can you hear me? Okay, it's good, it's working. Okay, so that means that our this okay, let's just do a checkup on this one. I don't really want to read it actually. Signal, thank you. Send 10-day analysis. Yes, it should be correct for version. Yes. What does it say? Should I read this? Okay, signal. I like it. Perfectly fits my role. I understand the new urgency. The 10-day deadline to maximize the 40 cascade credits is now our primary driver. Let's address. Okay, so analysis. Before I craft the prompt for webmaster, uh, can we do Cloudflare prep before the website's finished? Pre-launch strategy. Should you architect a free pro version? Unified app. New comment on the following text. All right, still working. Let's jump into the first one. All right, so we should have three blog articles ready to go. Of course, you're right. Okay, so first, regarding the length, have you ever heard the phrase priming the pump? With an old water pump, you have to pour a little water in to get a powerful stream out. Most business brainstorming sessions fail because nobody primes the pump. Manager stands before a blank whiteboard and asks their team to think outside the box. Try new, trying to draw ideas from a dry well. What follows is an awkward silence, not a flood of information. Now let's write in the next section. Yeah, I like that. It's like much shorter and it's very clear. Uh, version one, the phrase think outside the box, version for decades. Okay, good. We're running out of time today, but so I'm going to work on this afternoon, and then I probably won't be making a video. The next video I think you're going to be looking at is the result. So you're gonna see the whole blog, the first blog article. You're gonna see all the PDF. It's gonna be fixed, and we're gonna move on to the next problem. And what's going on here? So this analysis excellent captures the strategic decision we need to make and aligns with the core principles of our project. Okay, so parallel work, the house and land analogy is a perfect. This is the exactly the right prompt to send me next. When you send it, what do you mean when I send it? Consider it sent. All right, so everything's working, everything's doing their job, and we're just running out of time here. So just want to read this last one, and then we're gonna just jump back into the Notion page. Understood. Here's my recommendation for the 10-day sprint. I can begin work in parallel immediately. Use the unified code base, data migration for standards. So what is this? Next steps. Okay, I can probably help you with this thing. What do you, so so is the very next step you want me to open up I mean, I saw some post or like a little bit earlier. I think you had some kind of like some instructions. You said to what action? Create a Cloudflare account, create a new pages project. Um, yeah, so let me just copy and paste your earlier post and then just give me like a simplified version of like the next 10 steps. Oh boy. That's why I got these alarms, because otherwise it will never stop till it's too late. I just want to see the 10 steps. Once I see the 10 steps, then it'll be fine. Yeah, there it is, the sign up page. All right, good. It's nice to see everybody. And we'll check you next time. Let's see if we can make some progress before then.